and my flight to Spain has been booked. Hello, explorers. Keto Explorer here, and today I am going to take you along with me on my journey of planning my trip to España, to Spain. Finally, I hope all goes well. And by the time you see this video, I'm probably already in Spain or have came back already. But I'm going to walk you through that process. Now, back in August, I actually told you the steps and gave you resources to help you actually plan a trip. So I'm not going to walk through all those specific details. I'm going to link that video down below in the description box so you can refer to that video to get more information on how to plan things and the resources on how to do it and the steps for what you need to look for when you plan a trip. And it's also going to talk about what you need to do for domestic versus international travel. So that's going to be in there, but we're going to talk about how I'm planning my actual trip to Spain, and I'm going to take you along for the journey. So let's go. But first, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell right next to it so you'll be notified when all of my videos are released. Videos are released on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And on my channel, I talk about all things travel, photography, and the environment. It's free, so you might as well go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Now let's get into my planning. All right, yes, so we're not at the computer yet or doing any of my planning process, but I wanted to tell you a few things. One, you're gonna probably see me with different hairstyles and tops along this process because planning does not happen in just one session, for me at least, because it's time consuming and I have other things to do. So I usually don't just sit down and do it all in one session. Also, what triggers my planning process, which I did mention in my planning resource video that's linked in the description box, that what triggers me to start planning a trip is when I book my flight. And my flight to Spain has been booked. I must say I was originally supposed to go to Spain in March of 2020, and we know what happened there. The panorama happened, so that it didn't happen. I was rescheduled for later in 2020, and it's still, health situation still was happening. Then I keep getting vouchers or it keeps getting rescheduled. I don't remember when I rescheduled for. I rescheduled one other time, I believe, and I couldn't go because, Europe was closed to US citizens or something. I don't know, all types of stuff. And then I was supposed to go in August when I went to Italy. Italy wasn't even on my radar for 2021. And right when I was getting ready to go, the US put out a travel warning and I didn't know what the heck was behind that. I didn't have enough time to research it. So I was like, okay, move my trip. So they moved my trip to November. And I just used points and went to Italy because I was not ruining my vacation. Like I was looking forward to having time off from work. Okay, so let's get started. So the plane ticket's already been booked. I used my voucher from my trip from last year that was never taken. So I'm using my voucher. And then the other thing that has already been done is booking the hotels. But now that since the pandemic has happened, I don't like to plan that far in advance because you may have to cancel your trip or you may have to change it or whatever. And I'd rather not give my hopes up. So I usually plan 2 to 3 weeks out. So that's where we are. It's a few weeks before my trip. And I'll be going to both Madrid and Barcelona during my trip. So I won't even be doing my extensive trip I had planned for 2020. And then I'll also book shortly after getting the flight, my travel insurance. And that is something you must have these days because of all the flight issues. You never know when something is going to go out of business. You don't know when something is going to be canceled these days. So it's important to have travel insurance. And I'll link that down below. It's an affiliate link where you can go and buy your own travel insurance to make sure you're covered, but make sure you compare the policies and see what's in each policy before you purchase. Now, for real, let's go and head to my computer so you can see what I need to do next to plan for my trip. The first thing you see me doing here is actually logging into my bank account, which is why I'm not sharing my screen. But I'm logging into my bank account to contact them with my name, debit card number, and the dates I'll be traveling and where I'll be traveling. So they know that I will be using my card and it's not fraudulent activity to possibly get cash out of my bank account during those times. Now, you need to check with your financial institutions because some Credit cards, you may not have to do that because they recognize that you are traveling based on purchases, like my American Express card. But some credit cards, you do have to contact them. So make sure you check with any of your financial institutions so you know that what you need to do before you travel. Because if your card gets cut off while you travel, you won't have access to money, which really sucks. Next up in my planning process is registering for the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, or the STEP program with the US State Department. The STEP program is a free service for US citizens and nationals who are traveling or living abroad. The STEP program allows you to enter information about trips abroad so that the Department of State, via their embassies and consulates, can better assist their citizens in an emergency. So they actually do send information via your email about what's happening on the ground as you travel to that location before and during your time there. And it's also a good way for the embassy or the consulate to know in that country that one of their citizens is actually traveling there during a certain time. Nowadays, there's an additional step in the planning process for trips out of the country, which is figuring out what the COVID policies are for entering that country. And every country has one little different thing in order to enter. So for Spain, there was a health form that I had to fill out with my information as well as where I would be staying. But then I couldn't complete the form until within 48 hours of departure because it asked questions like your vaccination status, as well as if you've been in contact with anyone who's had COVID within the last 14 days and all those general questions in regards to COVID. So I'll leave the link down below to this website if you're considering going to Spain and filling out this form. Next up in my planning process is arranging my transit to the airport. In pre COVID times, I usually would park at my job and take the train to the airport, which was very cheap and convenient. And I knew my car would be safe and I didn't have to worry about getting back home. I usually don't take ride sharing because the cost can be quite expensive. And then plus someone will know that I'm not at home because I'm taking ride sharing. So that's why I don't usually use that. So in recent years and in past, when I didn't go to work or whatever to go to the airport to take the train, I would park at an off airport parking lot. I rarely park on the airport because it is quite expensive. So if I park on the airport, it's because I'm going for a very short time period or there's some type of deal going on, which is rare. Plus, there has been times where people actually break into cars at the airport because it isn't as secure as the off airport parking lots. My go-to off airport parking lot is WallyPark, and you can always find discounts. They'll have discounts on their websites. You may find a Groupon discount or whatever, and the parking lot is very secure, and there's a shuttle that takes you to and from the airport. It's very convenient, and I love WallyPark, but I do have to reserve it, and I always reserve the covered parking. And as a side note, as I plan my trip, I do update a Word document or a Google document with my entire itinerary. So I can send it to my mom, who I give a copy of my itinerary to when I travel solo. And I also update my travel budget to track my expenses as I go. As I mentioned, I am going to both Barcelona and Madrid. But my flight from the US is flying into Madrid. So I have to get from point A to point B. So right now I'm actually searching for flights on Google and trying to map out where I'm going to go and what time and what day. So I actually ended up booking a flight with Air Europa to fly directly from Madrid to Barcelona after I arrived later that day. And then I took the Renfe train back to Madrid in order to catch my flight back to the US. The last and most entertaining part of planning my trips is actually looking for the activities and the things that I'm going to do while I'm there. So my go-to places is one, you see me here on Viator's website, and I'm actually on my partner page as I am an affiliate. So you can book tours through my affiliate page for no additional cost, and I may receive a commission from it. But I go through here, I type in the city I'm going to, and I'm looking for activities here on Viator. I also may check out Facebook groups. So I checked out a group called Travel Spain, which has a lot of people who have been to Spain frequently, or actually expats in Spain, people living there, giving information about Spain and helping people who are traveling there. I also check out my travel groups like Nomadness Travel Tribe, as that is a group of like-minded individuals in urban spaces who love to travel. And I check that out to see who's been on the ground recently and suggestions for activities and things to do. So those are some resources I look into on Facebook and just searching around for information there. I'll also go on Airbnb and go to their experiences pages. And on experiences, you may find different things more catered to or with people who are actually locals creating their own tours instead of an actual tour company creating theirs. So I will do a mixture of all these things to find the right activities for me for my trip. So you won't see the actual activities that I book for this trip because I will have YouTube videos to come actually showing you the activities I decided to do. So let me know down in the comments, what do you think I'm going to do while in Spain? And make sure you subscribe and stay tuned so you can see what happens in my future trip or future videos to Spain. Okay, so we are now all ready to go to Spain. So soon I'll be packing my bags and taking my flight up. I'll be flying from Atlanta to JFK because I'm flying Air Europa, which is a Spanish airline. And it only flies, well, it doesn't only fly, but it doesn't fly out of many US cities. And so I originally booked this flight deal with Scott's Cheap Flights. And I was like, hey, I can get to JFK very easily with points or a cheap flight from Atlanta to JFK. So I'll be flying from Atlanta to JFK, spend a little bit of time in JFK's airport, probably in the lounge or something, and then fly overnight from JFK, New York City to Madrid, Spain. And then I'm going to just go directly from Madrid to Barcelona and spend most of my time there, then come back to Madrid, spend like a day there, and then go back to JFK and hopefully get back from JFK to Atlanta that evening because I do not want to spend money on a hotel in New York City again. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this planning process. If you have any questions, make sure you leave it down below and in the comment box, and make sure you check out the description box for that link to my prior planning video. And I hope you hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and a notification bell. Make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Again, leave any questions or comments you have down below, and make sure you share this video with your friends, family, and your social media networks. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day or night wherever in the world you are. Bye.